Good evening. So, how many of you have your notebooks and pens? That's a good number. Very good. So, those who don't have, next time onwards carry a notebook and a pen, because I don't think we are having extra notebooks and pens. Yeah? Because in all honesty and humility, our memory is not so great. You agree with that? So what we discuss in the first 15 minutes, by the time we reach 30, 40 minutes, we would have forgotten those first 15 minutes. Good. So there are two things which we use all our life, from childhood, and even if we want to become a good professional, those two things are needed. But interestingly, those are the two things that are never taught to us at all. In school, college, in your office, none of it is taught. Can you name those two things? We use them day in and day out. Okay, very good. Good start. Okay, better living. And? How to be happy. Okay. Mind and brain. These are the two things that we use all our life, but we are not taught about this at all. Did you ever attend a session so far which talks only about how mind works and how to control it? And how brain works and how to control it, how to use it better? No. That's the sad part of our post-independence education. We are asked to become a better thinker, but we are never taught what better thinking is. Right? That is the biggest hole. We are taught about math, we are taught about science, we are taught about social studies. Nowadays we are taught about computer science, artificial intelligence. But we are never taught about how do we become a better thinker, which is the foundation, which is the key for our happiness, for our joy, and for whatever we want to do in our life. Yes or no? Even if we want to prepare a good dish at home, your mind should be stable. Right? Otherwise, instead of salt, you will add sugar, or instead of sugar, you will add salt. And then the fun begins. Okay? So today, we are going to talk about these techniques. How can I become the master of my mind? By first understanding it. Awareness, which is very, very important. Because before I come into action, I need to be aware, smriti. So we are going to learn about that. Okay? So when you sat in meditation a few minutes ago, were you breathing fast or were you breathing slow? Yes? And have you ever tried to breathe slow and think fast? Have you ever tried? It's not possible because it's against the nature's law. Thinking, breathing, and aging are very closely related. Thinking, breathing, and aging. Because the faster you think, the faster you breathe. Have you observed that? When you're anxious, what happens to your breathing? It becomes shallow and it becomes faster. एंड आपने इनको भी देखा होगा जो बहुत सोचते हैं, डू दे लुक एज्ड और डू दे लुक यंग? देयर हेयर कलर ऑल्सो चेंजेस, करेक्ट? एंड दे लूज हेयर ऑल्सो. We know that, right? If we give a gap of 1 year and if we see somebody looking very old compared to their age and they lost their hair, we know that they are thinking a lot. They're stressed. They're feeling the stress. Because when we think fast, the metabolic clock inside our body runs fast. That means we age fast. That is why in our Indian culture, a lot of importance is given to the mind and to thinking. That is why you are asked to think slow. Because when you think slow, you breathe slow. And when you breathe slow, you think slow. That is why it's called as pranayama. Yama means to control. Prana means the life force. Pranayama means that which helps you, or that activity which helps you to get a control on your prana, your life force. That is why you are asked to practice that deep breathing. And when you breathe deeply, your stomach should come in the front. This is not breathing. It's from here. But when you... Can you try that now? Not here. Here. It's difficult. It's a little difficult, but try that, because we got used to breathing from the chest. Shallow. Have you seen any 2 or 3 year old kid sleeping? Or a 1 year old kid sleeping? You see the stomach, how it goes rhythmically up and down? That's deep breathing. That is what we should learn to practice. So when you breathe deeply, 2 things happen. 3 things happen. 1, you get relaxed. 2, your thinking slows down. And 3, your body gets supplied with more oxygen. That's why you feel more energetic all through the day. A lot of us feel exhausted by the end of the day because we don't breathe properly. So when you breathe deeply and slowly, you also start thinking slowly. That is when you not only relax, but you also feel more energetic. So thinking, breathing, and aging are closely related. Faster you think, faster you breathe. It's a very simple equation. And faster you breathe, faster you age. Do you know how many years does a typical tortoise live? The age of tortoise? How many years? Yeah, close to, average is about 120. Sometimes it even goes to 150. And you know how many breaths does a tortoise take per minute? Per minute. Just 2. 2 breaths per minute. And if you want to practice deep breathing, the good target to reach is 6 breaths per minute. Because typically we do double or 3 times that number, if you check yourself. How do you do that? If it is 6 breaths per minute, it means each breath should take how many seconds? 10 seconds. So the way you need to do that is, you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 3 seconds, okay, and you release your breath for the next 3 seconds. Or you breathe in for 3, hold it for 4, breathe out for 3. Any combination. So that means 1 breath is breathe in, hold, breathe out. So it happens for 10 seconds. And in 60 seconds you get 6 breaths. And that's an excellent stage to reach if you want to remain peaceful, remain energetic, and remain powerful all through the day. You will reach there, but it requires practice. That is why we are told every day do a few minutes of pranayama. And the next way to split that word pranayama is prana-ayama. Ayama means perspective. So breathing can also change your perspective. Because if you're anxious, you will look at it one way. When you are relaxed, you will look at the same situation a different way. Because breathing can also change the perspective. Interesting? So that is why. So from today onwards, how many of you will practice pranayama at least for 10 to 15 minutes? Yes. Because if you want to get the benefits, you have to do it. सोचने से भूख नहीं मिटेगी ना, खाने से ही मिटेगी. तो ये भी ऐसा ही है, करने से ही बेनिफिट्स आएंगे. Now, many of us have absolutely misunderstood what is relaxation. There's a difference between अपने हिसाब से रिलैक्सेशन क्या है. यार आज बहुत काम कर लिया, चलो थोड़ा यूट्यूब सर्फ करते हैं, व्हाट्सएप देख लेते हैं, फेसबुक देख लेते हैं. रिलैक्सिंग है यार. 2 घंटे यूट्यूब सर्फ करने के बाद आप में से कितने हैं जिनको लगता है यार मजा आ गया, 2 घंटे बिताया, मस्त, रिलैक्स, सुपर. कितनों को लगा सच्ची से? No, right? We feel exhausted. Most of us. There's only one hand that went up, but I'll deal with that brother later. For most of us normal people, we feel exhausted. If you spend 2 hours surfing Facebook, you feel exhausted. Because the reason is we are misunderstanding 2 important things. One, we are thinking stimulation is relaxation. We are stimulating our mind, we are stimulating our brain, we are not relaxing it. Making different thoughts is stimulation. That is why initial few minutes, because you changed your thinking, it becomes relaxing. Only initial few minutes. But after that, it takes away your energy. Thinking slow and thinking less is relaxation. Write down and reflect. Thinking different is not relaxation, it is stimulation. That is why if that were be relaxing for you, then it should relax you more after 2 hours. But it is not. It is exhausting. It is frustrating. Because stimulation means thinking different. Relaxation means thinking less. And that's the biggest mistake we are doing. We have many ways to stimulate ourselves, but very, very few ways to relax ourselves. So that is why we carry that whole stimulation generator inside our pockets itself. And then we think that, यार आजकल कुछ मज़ा नहीं आता है. कहाँ से मज़ा आएगा यार? दिन रात ड्र 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 चलाते रहो, रेस्ट ही मत दो, और मज़ा कहाँ से आएगा? And you can control your mind through breath. This is the most beautiful and important insight that India has given to the world. I can control my mind with my breath. Easiest first step. And breathing slowly and deeply reduces the speed and the number of thoughts. Both are related very closely. You cannot think more and think less. Impossible. You cannot think slow and think more. Impossible. Once you start breathing slow, you will think slow. Once you start thinking slow, you will think less. They are inseparable. If one increases, the other also increases, and vice versa. Okay? I'll share the deck, don't worry about that. If there is anything else, then you can make a note. You don't have to take photos. I'll share the deck and she'll send it to you because you have all registered. Now, most of us, when we ask, what is it that is bothering you in your life? You will say, my boss, my mother-in-law, my daughter-in-law, my son. First thing that comes, right? What is it that is bothering you? Because we think my response is because of this stimulus. अगर वो ठीक हो जाते ना बाला भाई, सब ठीक हो जाता. वो होते नहीं, मैं क्या करूं? So it's always the other. It is never about me. But the interesting part is the relationship between the stimulus and response is not straightforward. How I interpret the stimulus generates my response. Let me give you an example. Your son broke the glass in your home. Your neighbor's son broke the glass. Is there a difference in terms of your response or not? Exactly the same glass. Stimulus is exactly the same. Both of them broke the glass. Now, why is there a difference in your response? Because if response was directly proportional to stimulus, then in both cases, your reaction should be exactly the same. But it is not. Right? It depends on how you interpret that. That means, so there's this father, similarly, he was taking his kids in metro. And they were making a lot of noise. It was a Friday evening. And the fellow passenger said, यार आप हमारी टाइम क्यों बर्बाद कर रहे हो? It's Friday evening, we are exhausted, we want to take rest, we want to catch up on emails. Why don't you control your kids? And the father gently says, their mother met with an accident, she is in ICU. I'm taking them to the hospital, I don't know how to share that with them. Now suddenly the whole mahal changes, because that word spreads and everybody in the metro, in that compartment, they start playing with the kids. Now, it's not that suddenly the kids changed. The kids are still making the noise. But their response changed because what ran inside their head got changed. How they interpreted the same situation got changed. Now, who is interpreting? I am interpreting. That means I can change. If I change my interpretation, my response also changes. Now, this is the key insight that Brahma Kumaris provide. दुनिया को ब्रह्मा कुमारीज बदल नहीं सकते, इम्पॉसिबल है. आपके जो मदर इन लॉ है, हस्बैंड है, वाइफ है, किड्स हैं, उनके बॉस हैं, उनको बदल नहीं सकते, इम्पॉसिबल है. बिकॉज वी कैन नॉट चेंज द स्टिमुलस, बट वॉट वी कैन चेंज इज वॉट रन्स इनसाइड अवर हेड, वॉट एल्गोरिथम्स रन इनसाइड अवर हेड. 2 and 2 is the input. If algorithm is addition, what is the result? 4. Same 2 and 2 is the input, but if the algorithm is subtraction, what is the result? So the response, even though it looks like it is dependent on stimulus, it is to a large extent also dependent on what algorithms we run inside our head. That is what we must learn to replace. And that is why the tagline of Brahma Kumaris, Swa Parivartan se Vishwa Parivartan. First, I need to change. When I replace these mental algorithms, then my response can become better. So, stress experience depends not on the event alone, but on your interpretation of the event. That is why when one fails, they get depressed. The other person, same failure, they get more motivation. Because it's not just the event, it's how I interpret. So, what is overthinking? Because of outdated algorithms running inside our head. They are outdated, they are of no use. I have a Santro, he has a BMW. Every day I see the BMW, that's it, I'm gone. I'm sorry. Every day I see that BMW, because I think the size of the car, the algorithm running inside my head is, the size of the car is equal to the size of my ego. Santro choti hai, BMW badi hai. So every day I keep overthinking. Because this is of outdated algorithm. It is not the happiness, but it is that comparison. So I'm running the algorithm of that comparison. Then slowly jealousy begins. Then envy begins. Then anger comes. Right? All this happen, and then that is what is leading to overthinking. Because of these outdated algorithms that are running. And for those of you who are interested in overcoming overthinking, this is one of the most important insights. When you engage a thought, you empower it. It increases in its capability. When you ignore it, the thought becomes powerless. Very, very, very subtle but very important. I may fail in the exam. Now that's a waste thought. You have a choice. You can ignore it or you can keep engaging it by repeating it. Because we are weak, because we are never taught to ignore a waste thought, we keep repeating it. And when we repeat it, because the thought came from our own mind, we think it is true. Interesting, what trap we fall into. मेरे मन के अंदर से ही आ रहा है ना, तो उसको मैं अपना सच मान लेता हूँ. And the truth makes it sticky. But instead, if I say, this is a waste thought, without even writing exam, how can I say I will fail? So I will ignore this. So when you ignore a thought, it makes the thought weak. But when you engage a thought, it empowers it. Very, very, very important. Right? That's why it is said, mana eva manushyanam bandhamokshayoho. That means mind alone is responsible for your bondage and for your freedom. मोक्ष का मतलब है फ्रीडम, लिबरेशन. बंधन का मतलब है बॉन्डेज. मन एव मीन्स ओनली. माइंड अलोन इज रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर बॉन्डेज और लिबरेशन ऑफ द पीपल. So learn this. Whenever you get a waste thought, whenever you get a negative thought, and the kind of atmosphere जो वातावरण के बीच में हम रहते हैं, the chances of we getting negative and waste thoughts is far higher. So when you learn to ignore them, this is just a waste thought, I don't have to give power to it, I don't have to waste my time, then it goes away. It comes again, ignore it again. If a guest comes to your home and you ignore them, how long can they stay? Or if you go to your friend's place and they keep ignoring you, they are looking at their mobile, you are asking something, they are not answering you, they are answering somebody else, for how long can you stay in front of them? Will you be there? Will you hug them and kiss them? Thank you for ignoring. Will you say that? You get irritated and walk away. Exactly the same thing your thought also does. You ignore the thought, it goes away. It comes back again you ignore. That is the practice we need to do. So engaging a thought empowers it. Ignoring it makes it weak. Very important.
So a thought will come to my head, right? I have to think about that thought because I need to know whether I have to pass it or I have to. I'm engaging it.
Yes. So you still are making a decision.
Who makes a decision? Like how do I take a decision? I need to ignore this thought, or I need to kind of meditate on that or think about it.
Very simple. If the thought is going to empower you, if it is positive, meditate on it. If it is waste or negative, ignore it.
That is where the problem is.
Yes.
That's in mind, right? There are negative thoughts, but rest of the world thinks these are negative thoughts. I should not be thinking about it. But I think these are important thoughts. That could be about my father-in-law, mother-in-law, wife. So, what is the right thing?
I'll give you one more insight. Good you asked that question. Are you making solution-centric thoughts or are you making problem-centric thoughts? समाधान स्वरूप बन रहे हो या समस्या स्वरूप बन रहे हो? स्वरूप. There's a problem with my mother-in-law. Acknowledged. I hope. I'm sorry. Or a father-in-law. Okay, I'm sorry again. It just comes out, so we are sharing. Nothing against any mother-in-laws or father-in-laws here. Okay, so there's a problem with someone. Now, if you keep thinking about the problem, is that problem going away? Or you are supposed to think about the solution. Samadhan Swarup. Unfortunately, we spend a lot of time agonizing over the problem. That is why it becomes overthinking. We'll know that. We will know that. Whatever is in your control, only that you start thinking. You can't change them. They are angry. They will always get irritated. Now, do you want to get more irritated or do you want to remain calm? In whose hands it is? Whose hands it is? My hands. Then their irritation becomes irrelevant because they are not getting the response that they used to get. Whether they are irritated or sweet, you are always calm. And I never said it is easy. Did I say that? I never said that, and I won't say it. That is why Brahma Kumaris, when they say Rajyoga, it is simple Rajyoga. It's not easy. But if you work towards it, okay, you can get the benefits. No, they don't irritate you. You are allowing them to irritate you. हाँ करेंगे. वो उनका संस्कार है ना, वहाँ 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 करेंगे ही. Now what do you do? हाँ, good, good. Nah, there is a reason. There is a reason. No, good point. This is actually what happens. Now, if the machine needs to run a little longer, you should service it. When you know that they are going to do this for next 3 hours, prepare your mind. अभी ये 3 घंटे तक वाव वाव चलने वाला ही है. तो आपने मशीन को प्रिपेयर करो, क्योंकि उस स्टिमुलस को आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकेंगे. अगर आपको शांति चाहिए तो अपने आप पर वर्क करना सीखो, क्योंकि दुनिया नहीं बदलेगी, बॉस नहीं बदलेगा, घर वाले नहीं बदलेंगे, घर नहीं बदलेगा, मुझे बदलना है. If you want to remain happy, that is. If you don't want to, then have fun. Nobody is stopping you. Right? And detached observation slows the thinking. Very beautiful. When you detach yourself from the situation, it slows the thinking. That is why when someone else whom you are not at all related, when they die, there is distance between the person who is dead and you, right? So that is why you don't overthink. But somebody, they are close to you, that causes a lot more pain. But when you learn to detach from the situation, then that overthinking comes down, right? Now let me demonstrate this. I need a volunteer with a notebook. Because this is what we learn in our culture, right? Be detached. We don't understand, we get confused because वो सिखाते ही नहीं है हमको कि detachment क्या है. And they say we should not be attached, and then we mistake attachment for love. Then we say, if I don't love, how can I be in the relationship? Because I have absolutely no understanding of these such beautiful words and the meanings. Total misunderstanding. And then I completely make a mess of my life. So today we will understand what that detachment is. Okay? Father, come. Yeah. You have written some notes, right? Yeah, start reading. Start reading.
Thinking, breathing, aging, these are closely related.
यहीं पे रहो ना आप.
Pranayam, deep, slow breathing.
अब पढ़ो. पढ़ो.
No, I
पढ़ो
can't.
भाई. आपका ही राइटिंग है, पढ़ो आप.
No.
Now, why is he able to read here? Now, if I take this here, can you?
No.
The same writing, right? He's writing his book, but when I keep it here, he can't read. When I take it there, he can't read. But when I keep it here, he is able to read. Why? 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 क्यों?
Attachment.
नहीं क्यों? Why is he able to read? Just reading. Just look at it and then tell me. No, I'm just asking him to read. No interpretation here. Just reading. So what is the difference here? The distance. Distance improved clarity. When there is clarity, I am able to read. This is attachment. This is your problem. Your problem only. वो कहीं नहीं जाएगा. आपका ही मदर इन लॉ है, आपका ही बच्चा है, आपका ही बॉस है, आपका ही रहेगा. चिंता मत करो. But when you bring it here, your clarity is lost. You can't decide in the situation. You create the distance. It is still yours. See, he is only holding it. It is his book, his baby, his problem only. But he created that distance. When he created that distance, now he knows what to do. Because most of the times we do it, we try to analyze the situation like this. And we get sad, bad, mad. But this is detachment. And this is dissociation. Both are bad. Both don't work. परिस्थितियों से भागना नहीं है. परिस्थितियों से अपने आप को हमें अलग करना सीखना है. That's important. It is still there. Yes, you are there. I will handle you. But when I bring it so close, I go mad. That's why overthinking. That is why you need to learn to detach temporarily. Detachment means assume that it is somebody else's problem and now sit and analyze. Okay? Your name, brother?
Umesh.
Umesh Bhai. Give him a big hand. Thank you.
Only detachment is correct. Both the other things are
Yes, because attachment, क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः, सम्मोहात् भवति स्मृति विभ्रमः. नाश हो जाता है ना स्मृति. स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो, बुद्धिनाशाय प्रणश्यति. प्रणश्यति मीन्स यू विल फॉल डाउन. जहां मोह है, you will have your downfall. That is why we are taught about pyar and not moh. Okay? And when you are dissociated, it's as if you want to run away from it, you want to stop thinking from it. No. If you have fever, if you ignore it, will it grow or reduce? If you have a wound, if you ignore, will it grow or reduce? So dissociation, running away from problems, will not solve the problems. But detaching from the problem and then looking at it, then you will be able to come up with a better solution. That is the difference. And this is what spirituality teaches. Learn to be detached. But you should not stop from doing karma. You have to do the karma. Because if you are stopping the karma, then it is dissociation. It won't work. But if you are consumed in karma, then that is attachment. Now that is where we say you can go to the balcony, even if you are on the ground floor. What it means is, I'll give you a story. So there's this couple who goes to the dance, to the club and where they want to dance. But on that day being a weekend, it's so busy that they get pushed by the fellow dancers. So after this happens sometime, the guy, both of them, they get irritated and he says, honey, let's get out of the dance floor. Let's go to the balcony. So when they go to the balcony, they see an entirely different picture. Because that day is a holiday and there are more dancers, as and when they were moving into VIP enclosure, the security folks there pushing the dancers onto the dance floor. Each time they were pushed, they were stepping over each other's toes. So they were not doing wantedly. But where was this visible from? Where was this visible from? From the dance floor or the balcony? What happened when you went to the balcony? View changed, right? You were able to get the big picture. In order to go to the balcony, what did you have to do first? You should stop dancing. सबसे पहले वो करना चाहिए. Yes or no? Because while dancing, you can't see. Your view is limited. अब अपने आप से पूछो आप, how many decisions you take while you are busy dancing at your home? In your life. And then you say you get irritated. And then you say you have overthinking. Because you have never gone to the balcony. You never stopped dancing. We are so busy dancing all through our life, and then we get irritated when somebody else does something without understanding the big picture. But if we want to understand big picture, you should learn to stop dancing. That is the meaning of meditation. That is the meaning of relaxation. That is when you will be able to detach, move away from the dance floor, and then see the big picture, and then take a decision. That is how detachment improves our decision-making capability. So every time you have to make a decision, ask yourself, am I on the dance floor? Am I on the balcony? Just take a few minutes, sit in the balcony, detach yourself, and then make the decision. So when you go to the balcony, you become aware of the facts in the situation. And then you become aware of the story you are telling yourself. हम अपने ही कहानी बनाते हैं. We are fantastic story writers. Not even Rajamouli. Bahubali's Rajamouli also can't write such stories. Amazing stories. इतना रुला देने वाले, इतना दुख देने वाले माहिर बन गए हम. एक एक मिनट में ऐसे ऐसे नए नए स्टोरीज बनाते हैं. Nothing to do with the facts in the situation. What is the fact? Your mother-in-law is saying, wow, wow. That's a fact. That's a fact in the situation. Now, what is the story I am telling myself? बेकार के लोग हैं यार, 2 घंटे से करते हैं, समझ में नहीं आते हैं उनको, मैं ऑफिस में काम कर रहा हूँ, जूम कॉल है, ऐसा करना नहीं चाहिए, ये सब क्या है? कहानी है ना? Who is the creator, writer, director, hero, villain of this story? मैं खुद ही क्रिएट कर रहा हूँ वो सारा 70mm और IMAX मूवी इनसाइड माई हेड, एंड देन आई एम सेइंग ये स्टोरी क्यों चल रही है? अरे आपने ही क्रिएट किया भाई, यू क्रिएटेड इट. नाउ यू हैव द अपॉर्चुनिटी. यस, शी इज डूइंग इट. कैन आई मूव अवे? कैन आई रिक्वेस्ट हर? So your response changes, right? Because now you are no longer blaming somebody. Again, it's not easy, brother. I've never said it's easy. But if we keep doing it, you will keep learning it. So, when I change the story I am telling myself, my experience changes. When my experience changes, my response changes. So first I need to change the story I am telling myself. You can check. Even after you go home, you serve the dinner maybe a few minutes late. Now the fact is you served the dinner few minutes late and they are yelling and shouting for whatever reason. Now what story you will tell yourself governs your response. 30 साल से कर रही हूँ, कोई एक्नॉलेज करने वाला नहीं. आज एक थोड़ा अच्छी बातें सुनने के लिए गई, 10 मिनट लेट हो गया, देखो भड़कने लग गया. नाउ दिस इज स्टोरी. दिस इज स्टोरी यू आर टेलिंग योरसेल्फ. इंस्टेड यू कैन टेल अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी. आई अंडरस्टैंड poor things might be feeling hungry. You can say, I'm sorry, can you eat a little more? Yes, I went just today to listen to Brahma Kumaris. It was not intentional. Now this is another story you can create. Now your response or your irritation or your calmness depends on what story you are creating yourself. They are not going to change because they will continue to yell and shout and complain because you delayed it for 10 minutes. That's a fact. So our stories create our experience. What stories you are telling yourself from the time you get up till the time you sleep, that defines your experience. If you want to change the experience, learn to change the stories. And remember, you are the creator, writer, director, hero of your stories. वो स्मृति चाहिए, क्योंकि स्मृति से समर्थि आती है. जब मैं ये भूल जाता हूं कि I am not the creator, then I will feel helpless. But when I know I am the creator, then I can take control. I can change the script because I am the creator. Yes.
The problem is that story creates. Most of the time when I get into that situation, there are 2 stories I get. One is that where I'm winning, and other is, which will actually calm down the situation, is where I'm losing. So most of the time I get these stories where I like to win, which means 30 साल से तो खिलाया है, एक दिन लेट हो गया तो काई छोड़ो.
Correct.
I do not lose. So my story will always be 30 साल से खिलाया है.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That is where you need practice. That's where you need relaxation. That's where you need meditation. Because by default you will get वो 30 साल वाली बातें आएंगी. That's natural. I'm not saying it should not. But what I am trying to remind you is you also have the capability to rewrite that story. It is just that you are not using that capability yet. And you are thinking that you are helpless. You are not as helpless as you think you are. You are more powerful than you think you are. It's just that we forgot. Smriti se samarthi. Vismriti se weakness. When I forget, like you send the math book, okay? You carry it in your bag, okay? Daughter's name? I forget. So Tanishka is in her 8th or 9th standard. Her mom put the mathematics textbook inside the bag and she sent to the school. But Tanishka forgot that she had the math book in the bag. And when the math teacher asks for the math textbook, She doesn't even look at the bag. Now she's baffled. टेक्स्ट बुक नहीं, कैन यू गिव मी. आपके पास है भाई, चेक करो ना, बैग ओपन करो ना, तो दिखेगा ना. And if I have to open and then check, I need to first relax and not get frustrated, right? Not get anxious. Then I will find it. Then I can create a new story. But if I don't even want to check my bag, because God has given all those capabilities, it's just that we have to use them. But to use them, we need to remember them. Smriti. Awareness. So when you are aware, this is how your brain works. It's normal. But when you are anxious, you see, this thinking brain goes offline. That is why when you stabilize your mind, you can utilize your brain. When you stabilize your mind, you can utilize your brain. If your mind is not stabilized, then your brain can't work. I take a glass. You are trying to pour some milk, but I keep shaking my glass. Can I get something? You are trying to give, but I am shaking. But when I am stable, I can hold something, right? That's what we are doing to our mind. Constantly shaking it. Constantly getting distracted. इसने ये कहा, इसने ये मैसेज भेजा, उसने वो बताया, ये मूवी में ऐसा हुआ. Constantly distracting. There is no stabilization of the mind at all. Then how will you utilize your brain? That is why you are asked to start your day with positive thoughts. That's a part of our culture. First 1 hour after you get up, भगवान के श्लोक सुनो, पूजा करो. क्यों करना है? This is the reason. Because when you think positive, you feel more relaxed and empowered. सुबह उठ के नेटफ्लिक्स चालू कर दिया, उठते ही, and then you say I feel exhausted. Why won't you feel exhausted? Because that's what you're trying to do. There's nothing positive going inside. You can check. Present never causes overthinking. It's always the past or future. Because present you are here, you have to do something, that's it. That is why even in our culture, even in yoga you are taught, be present now. Thinking about future is not wrong, but worrying about future, that's the difference. Most people think that future के बारे में सोचना ही नहीं चाहिए बाला भाई, अभी डिनर बना नहीं है, सोचना ही नहीं चाहिए मुझे. No, you have to think. But worrying, क्या बनाना है, क्या बनाना है, क्या बनाना है, क्या बनाना है, ये है वो है, ये है वो है, ये पसंद आएगा नहीं पसंद आएगा, ये सब्जी बनाओ, वो सब्जी बनाओ, ये चटनी बनाओ. Now this is worrying. Now that won't help. Thinking and planning are needed, but not worrying. So if you want to remain peaceful, then learn to be in the present. You're sitting here, at least for next half an hour we are not going to leave you. Even after that, we're giving them something to eat. Good, fantastic, वो भी मिलेगा आपको. तो आप चिंता नहीं करना. इसके 8 बजे के बाद जो करना है, वो 8 बजे के बाद उसके बारे में सोचना चालू करना. अभी 6:30 ही हो रहा है. ठीक है, वो 1.5 घंटा you be here. Or at least next half an hour you be here. Even if a thought comes, you say, आप कतार में हैं, प्रतीक्षा कीजिए. I will come to you at 8 o'clock, not now, because now it is only 6:30. So whenever things are changing, the change is what causes uncertainty. And brain doesn't like uncertainty. And that's what causes overthinking. So try to make things whatever is in your control, try to make them certain. Because brain just doesn't like uncertainty. So do you want your mind to be like this? Jungle with weeds? What's the name? Arohi? Do you want your mind to be like this? Sure? See, even she knows that. Do you want your mind to be like this, Arohi? It's nice? Yeah? We want a garden in our mind, right? Not the weeds, not the jungle. Now here is the interesting part. Weeds grow on their own. उनकी संभालने की जरूरत नहीं है. Now, how much time are you giving to maintain the garden of your mind on a daily basis? टाइम नहीं मिलता बाला भाई, बहुत बिजी हूं. ठीक है. एंड देन यू कंप्लेन, यार मजा नहीं आता है, ये वो ओवर थिंकिंग है, ये एंग्जाइटी है. यार टाइम कब दिया वो वीड्स निकाल के मेंटेन करने के लिए? अगर गार्डन इतनी अच्छी दिखती है तो अपने आप नहीं बनती है ना. यू हैव टू पुट एफर्ट. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू डू गार्डनिंग हियर? Okay, good. So you know what does it take to maintain a garden. Now, if you consider your mind as a garden, then it needs maintenance. Now that is what is meditation. Very simple. So how many minutes on a daily basis are you spending to maintain your own mind? So what thoughts we create on a daily basis result in a weed or a garden. Whatever thoughts you are making, that becomes the water. If they are positive, garden will grow. If they are negative, weeds will grow. Now you don't want to change that and you want a garden. Shortcut. आज ये वीडियो देख लिया, आज उनको सुन लिया, इनको सुन लिया, 10 मिनट बहुत अच्छा लगा, एक दिन बहुत अच्छा लगा, दूसरे दिन से खत्म. फिर दूसरे के पास जाएंगे, फिर ये स्वामी जी के पास जाएंगे, वो बहन जी के पास जाएंगे, वो भाई जी के पास जाएंगे. कोई भी आपके जीवन को बदल नहीं सकता है. There are no shortcuts in life. Okay?
But sometimes we are engaging ourselves in so many responsibilities of in-laws or daughters. Sometimes we are not getting time for things like that. With mind that.
Correct.
We are so much busy. Sleeping
Yeah.
also needed for 6 to 7 hours.
Yes.
Responsibilities are there.
Yes.
Working is there. Profession is there.
Yes.
In that, we are lacking the time for this gardening.
Can you get 2 minutes? 2 minutes? Every 3 hours, can you get 2 minutes? पानी तो पीते हैं, बाथरूम तो जाते हैं, खाना तो खाते हैं. At that time, just for few seconds, can I do some deep breathing and then focus on that? कितने बार हो जाएगा? कितने बार हो जाएगा? 30 सेकंड. Periodically you are calming yourself, right? Now that's what is needed. If I need 1 hour, I won't get. Then I will stop doing it. But if I divide that 1 hour into few minutes each, it's easy to grab 2 or 3 minutes here and there. And I repeat that a few times, I got my 30 minutes already. So what you talk with yourself waters this weed or garden. That's what we call as self-talk. This is the story I'm telling myself. Unfortunately, nobody taught us about this story. वो चलता ही रहता है, चलता ही रहता है. But we forgot that we can change the story. Let me give you an example. Oh my God, it's the same project again. Last time I goofed up, I'm sure I'll fail again. Now this is the default story I'm telling myself. But I have the power. I can change it. Just because I failed last time does not mean I will fail again. Let me try once again. Can I create this story or not? Do I have the capability to create this story or not? Now when I start creating this story, exam is exactly the same. Project is exactly the same. Will I feel motivated or demotivated when I'm creating this story? When I'm creating this story, will I feel motivated or demotivated? When I am motivated, the chance of me succeeding increases or decreases? Project is exactly the same. Based on what story I am telling myself, I can increase my motivation or decrease my motivation. Project is exactly the same. Boss is exactly the same. So now do you understand that you are more powerful than you think you are? Yes, it requires effort, but we all have that capability. It's better for me to avoid facing many of life's difficulties. Instead, I say, if I fail or get rejected, I will still accept myself and choose to see myself the way God does. I still have the capability, right? I can do that. Someone or something is making me feel depressed, utterly miserable. By default, this is the story I create. Yes, brother? This is the story I create by default. But I have the capacity. No one can make me feel anything without my permission. Remember that. No one on the face of this earth can make me feel anything without my permission. I do this with my team members also. I tell them, you are absolutely okay to come in front of the whole team and then say, Bala, you are an idiot. I will simply say, it's your opinion. It's not true. It's your opinion, and you can have your opinion. Show me the data. Then we can have a conversation. I don't have to get irritated, right? That's his opinion. That's not truth. When I agree, implicitly when I am giving my agreement to his opinion that I am an idiot, I get irritated. But I withhold that opinion. I withhold that permission, right? Do I have the capacity or not?
If it tells you 1,000 times continuously,
You can still do it, right? It's your chance. If you are prepared, you know the example of Buddha? Every day he used to pass an old woman's house while he was going for his alms. Okay? Going for his bhiksha. Every day she used to curse him. Every day. This happened for 365 days in a year. One day she could not hold. She said, damn it, मैं इतना गुस्सा कर रही हूँ, ये चूचा भी नहीं करता है. So our ego got hurt. Because we need response, right? If there is no response, it means he is ignoring her. So she stops him the next day. She says, I'm cursing you for 1 long year and you don't feel anything. आप आदमी हो के पत्थर. Then he says, Amma, if you give me something and I don't accept it, whom does it belong to? She says, पागल हो क्या? इतना सी नहीं पता. It belongs to me only. Then he said, every day whatever you are telling me, I am not accepting them. And then he moves on. Because I am accepting, only then there is reaction, right? And if I can remind myself again smriti, that I can withhold, it requires practice. 1,000 times, 10,000 times? I don't know. So how to change? First detect. First check. वो detect ही हम नहीं करते हैं because we thought it is true. It's not true. We first have to detect. Yes, this is a waste thought. This is a negative thought. This is not truth. First detect. Then disrupt. Stop it. Don't keep engaging it. Stop it. Disrupt it. And dispute it. Dispute means just because I failed in the previous exam does not mean I will fail again. So dispute it. You have never given a talk and then now you are worried that you will spoil the talk. No, but where is the data? Where is the experience? You are only creating it. Because I never did any time in the past does not mean I will fail the very first time, right? Doesn't have to be. So I dispute, detect, disrupt, dispute, and then you design. Let me give it a shot this time. Let me see how it goes on. Let me learn. Now that you are designing the positive thought. Detect, disrupt, dispute, and design. 4 most important Ds if I have to change my story. If I don't even detect, if I am not even aware, then I will continue to have fun. And then I will continue to feel sad, bad, mad all my life. Because I am never interested in detecting and disrupting it, disputing it, or designing something new. So positive self-talk empowers and relaxes us by giving more clarity. When I tell that positive story to myself, I feel more relaxed. I feel more empowered. And when you fall into a thinking trap, you tend to overthink. So what are these thinking traps? Jumping to conclusions. Even before something happens, I jump to conclusions and I start overthinking. Now you are working for the same boss for the last 5 years. So every day, you are sitting just outside your boss's cabin. Every day when he comes, he smiles, he greets you and then goes inside his room. 5 साल से यही चल रहा है, ठीक है? But on that day, he didn't see you. He didn't smile at you. He didn't greet you. He just went inside his room. And then he called you. Can you come in? He sent an email to you saying, you come in. Now, what will be your thought process? Then suddenly you will recall, यार 1 महीने पहले कैंटीन में मैंने सुना था कि कुछ डाउनसाइजिंग चल रही है. बात खत्म. स्माइल नहीं किया, गुड मॉर्निंग नहीं बोला, लगी मेरी टिकट आज. नो 1 महीने में 29 दिन उन्होंने स्माइल किया, गुड मॉर्निंग कहा, वो सब गायब. लेकिन आज 1 दिन नहीं कहा. Then you started worrying. And you know, as somebody said, taxes, death, and EMI. These 3 are a must for all of us middle class people, okay? So there are taxes and death. For that we join EMI. Then you start worrying, if he fires me, what will happen to my kids' education? What will happen to my EMI, my car loan, my house loan, all these other loans that I took, what will happen? All of this keeps going on and you start sweating. And then you say, okay, now he reminds you again, so you go inside. Then he says, yeah, congratulations. The project that you did went on very well, so I'm giving you extra increment. Now, where did all this thing come from? Because I jumped to conclusion without finding out. And that's a thinking trap. So whenever you jump to conclusions without data, you start thinking about it, worrying about it, you first ask, what data or evidence have you based your conclusion on? Are you certain or are you guessing? A lot of our sorrow is generated because we are guessing. Your friend, every day she stops and takes you for lunch. You go together for lunch. On that day, your colleague, she just walked past you. That's it. You never even stopped and asked her, you know, why are you not taking me? What is the problem? I mean, is there anything wrong that I... नहीं, यहाँ बैठ के कहानी बनाएंगे अभी. Now she's changed. ये लोग ऐसे ही है. 3 साल से साथ में जा रहे हैं. आज देखो वो दोस्त के साथ वो घूम रही है ना, उसने मेरे बारे में कुछ अनाप शनाप बताई होगी, इसलिए वो आज से वो मेरे से नहीं आएगी लंच खाने. आज से, सिर्फ आज ही उन्होंने किया, लेकिन उसको आपने आज से बना दिया, क्योंकि कल आई भी नहीं है, लेकिन आज से बना दिया. And then within those 1 or 2 minutes, you make such a big mess, and then you think that she is very bad, this, that, everything. And then she goes inside, she goes to the restroom, comes back because she's not going to the lunch yet. She comes back, carries the bag, and then she says, please, can we join? Now what happened? What happened in those 2 minutes by the time she returned from the restroom? Well, that is jumping to conclusions. So are you certain or are you guessing? And this happens even in relationships. Even with spouse it happens. If he loves me so much, he should have remembered my birthday. Damn it, it's 5 p.m. and he hasn't yet called me. And we are married for 16 years. So he doesn't remember my birthday. So that means he doesn't love me. So you're testing the memory, not the love. Mistaking your spouse's memory of being love is such a big mistake. And the poor fellow is gone now for next 1 month. Okay? And see, there's a 6-inch picture here, but it appears to be 6 feet. Which one is real? 6 inch or 6 feet? Like that's about 14 inches. And this is about maybe 3 feet or 4 feet. Which one is real? That one is real or this one is real? Both are real, right? Because I can see them. What is making this 4 feet, that 18 inches becoming this 4 feet is because of and by default, our projector is always on. हमें पता भी नहीं है कि अंदर एक प्रोजेक्टर है और वो हमेशा ऑन रहता है. I can switch it off. Then my 4-foot problem looks like a 19-inch problem. It is so easy to handle a 19-inch problem than worrying about 4-foot problem. Switch off your projector. Don't unnecessarily project it. Next one is overgeneralization. Your kid failed in math exam. And suddenly now you started saying, I'm a bad parent. He just failed in one exam, come on. And then you started blaming your own character because of that. Is there a specific behavior that explains it? Is it logical to blame the character based on one event or just one situation? That's the thinking trap we fall into. There are many, but these are a couple of examples that show how I generate my own sorrow. You can write this down and you can think about it before you challenge me. 98% of our sorrow is self-generated. And it is related to the self, what we call as Adhyatmika Dukkha. 98% is I generate the sorrow myself. And what you consume creates that thinking. On a daily basis, you check WhatsApp, you check Facebook, you go on Snapchat, you consume all sorts of junk, and then you say, I want to feel relaxed. Kahan aayega? Constantly you are stimulating, and then you want to feel relaxed. Nahi hoga na? Because what you put in is what comes out. So emotional junk food leads to overthinking, and emotionally nutritious food helps reduce the speed and number of thoughts. That is why you need to listen or read those positive thoughts on a daily basis. That is what we call as a daily class at Brahma Kumaris. So you induce those positive thoughts inside your mind on a daily basis. Then when you eat nutritious food, you will feel more energetic, more healthy. When you eat junk food, what happens? You will fall sick. Now overthinking is that kind of stuff. And when you are not able to decide, indecision increases speed of thinking, and sometimes cost of decision is less than the cost of indecision. Take an example. You're going to catch a flight and there's traffic jam. So now you don't know what's going to happen because you haven't yet decided. You're still waiting, and then you're getting tensed. But at one point of time, after you see the watch and you say, abhi main jaun bhi, तो भी फ्लाइट नहीं मिलेगी, एंड देन यू से ठीक है मैं कल जाऊंगा. आफ्टर हाफ एन आवर ऑफ दैट एगनी, वंस यू मेक दिस डिसीजन दैट मैं कल जाऊंगा, व्हाट हैपेंस टू योर स्टेट ऑफ माइंड? यू फील रिलैक्स्ड और यू आर स्टिल एंग्शियस. यार गया तो गया यार, अब मैं क्या करूं, कल जाऊंगा. सो दैट डिसीजन, when you make that decision, your overthinking stops. A lot of times that overthinking happens because we are not willing to make the decision. And the cost of making the decision many a times is less than the cost of indecision. When you try to impress somebody, it causes overthinking. I cannot make anyone love me. Impossible. Can somebody come and hug and kiss you on demand? Even your spouse can't do that. So don't try to impress, but instead focus on expressing yourself, because that is what is in your control. Desire to control increases the speed and number of thoughts. Another very, very, very important reason for overthinking. We want to control everything because that is what gives certainty. But things are not in your control. Just outside, Magarpatta traffic jam. Is it in your control? Okay, relax. You keep doing it and there won't be any impact on the traffic jam. आप यहाँ डांस करते रहो, वहाँ कुछ भी होने वाला नहीं है, because you have absolutely no control. So now, will you accept it? Now what is in your control? To react or to utilize that time so that you can do your deep breathing, so that you can listen to Sister Shivani's class, or someone else, or you can finish your phone calls. It's in your hands, right? But when you try to control it, you will start overthinking. The same thing in relationships. You want to control. No, allow them to be themselves. Why do you want to force them to think like you? They won't. Or eat like you, or dress like you. White is so good, yaar. I don't know. I mean, how many times I have to tell you should not wear black? White is so pleasing. Why don't you wear black? And then she comes and says, white is so irritating. This black, kuch lagi bhi hai to dikhega nahi. So why don't you wear black? But when you accept each one as they are, when you don't try to control, when you let go of the desire to control, then your overthinking reduces, your overthinking stops. An act of letting go reduces them. That is why the famous sloka in Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyeva adhikaraste. You have control only on your action, not on the result. We want the desire for karma is good result. There's no question about it. But how will you get the result? What result you will get is not in our hands, right? How many marks you are going to get? What questions are going to come in your exam? Is it in your hands? But what's in your hands is preparation. So focus only on that. Because then what happens is, when you are worried about result, it leads to overthinking. But when you are focused on task, what is in your control, that reduces overthinking. Fascinating stuff. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. But when I am worried about the phal, the result, which is not in my control, I become frustrated. Disappointment causes overthinking. And where does disappointment come from? You can write down this definition. The distance between my expectation and reality is disappointment. The distance between my expectation and reality is disappointment. Clear? She did not smile at you. You are disappointed. The reality is she did not smile at you, that's all. But your expectation is she should smile at you. That's why you are disappointed. So the closer your expectations are to the reality, the more peaceful you are. Because my disappointment is proportional to the square of my expectations. If I want to reduce my disappointment by my 9 points, I should reduce my expectation by 3 points. That's it. And for some of us it is cube, for some of us it is 4 times to the power of 4. Because itne expectations har ek se. And then you end up disappointed. So you want to reduce your disappointment, reduce your expectation. And see whether your expectations are matching the reality. The most important effort. Correct.
Without expectation, झूठ है, कोई बोलना है कि expectation नहीं है.
Correct.
कोई भी अच्छा कार्य करता है आदमी, कुछ भी अच्छा करता है, अपने बच्चे के लिए कर रहा है.
Correct. Correct.
Expectation रहता ही है.
Correct.
वो बोले या नहीं.
Correct.
बच्चों को प्यार करते बड़ा होगा सुख देगा. माँ बाप को अच्छे करते दुआएं देंगे.
Correct.
Expectation रहता ही है.
Correct.
खास करके अच्छी बात सीख के देंगे.
Correct.
Without expectation, it was possible नहीं.
Once you come into the classroom, your expectation helped you to do that karma. But what I am going to share, you don't know. Yes or no? And once you enter the room, you align your expectation with reality. सुनते हैं बाला भाई आज क्या सुनाते हैं? Exciting ho ya na ho, but just let me see what is he going to say. Then what happens to will you be disappointed or will your expectation is aligned with reality? So expectation, that's why I said that desire for success is what drives the action. But desire to control that result, that results in disappointment. That expectation is good because without that positive expectation, we won't do that. You won't come here. But after coming here, what are you doing with the reality? That is what I'm talking about. See the difference? Yes, you are expecting that your kid needs to take care of you. Every parent expects that. But when you can align your expectations with reality later, yes, he is busy. He doesn't have much time. He doesn't want to live with us. He wants to move to some other city. That's reality. वो क्यों नहीं है? मैं ऐसा सोचता था, बचपन से इतने सारे एक्सपेक्टेशंस है इसके ऊपर, अभी पूरा डिसअपॉइंट कर दिया, ये बेकार है, मेरा बेटा है ही नहीं. So now, what is your thinking based on? Your thinking is not aligned with reality. You are not accepting it. That's what I mean. Yes, please.
Just to give this example that I gave for your session. So when I'm sitting here, my karma has to be right to get something from you. If my karma is, I'm building with
Yes.
the right
Yeah.
I'm judging you.
Correct.
I'm comparing you, that guru was better than this guru, then I'm not loving it.
Exactly.
If I do my karma right, I listen to you without thinking anything else, my expectation will actually be.
Beautiful. So that's exactly what I meant. Because when you remove judgment, you are aligning yourself with reality. And you can write this down. This is very beautiful. Thanks for the point. Judgment is my version of reality, not necessarily the reality. Judgment is my version of reality. बाला भाई को ऐसा बोलना चाहिए था. हाँ. Only then I will be happy. ये ऐसा नहीं है. That's why I'm disappointed. But when I don't judge, when I just try to align with what Bala Bhai is sharing, then I am not disappointed, then I am not judging. Then hopefully I will get something. So some better thinking tools. Meditation means servicing your mind. Very, very, very important. If you want to utilize your brain, you must learn to stabilize your mind. There is no other method. And servicing the mind daily reduces overthinking. If you don't service your car or scooter, what happens? It will break down somewhere, right? And that's what is happening. धुआं निकलेगी, अलग अलग साउंड्स आएंगे, माइलेज खत्म हो जाएगी या कम हो जाएगी. And that's what we are having right here also every day. Because we have never serviced our mind. Nobody taught us how to do it. Unstable mind leads to overthinking. And meditation helps you to stabilize your mind. Very, very important. Because it is that stability that is needed in our life today. Because everything around us is unstable. And I can't control it. What can I control? My own mind. Can I stabilize that? Is it okay if I take a few more minutes? Okay. And what is one of the better thinking tools for overcoming overthinking is to repeat a mantra. It can be Gayatri mantra, it can be Ram chant, it can be whatever mantra you like, something that makes you feel protected and safe and engages your mind. Because then what happens is, mantra is helping you to engage your mind in one direction because you're repeating it. Then these waste thoughts, they reduce because they disappear, at least for that moment. And you know the meaning of mantra? What is the meaning of that? मंत्र का मतलब है मननात त्रायते इति मंत्रम. Manan means repetition. Trayate means that which protects. Mananat trayate iti means this mantram. That which protects when repeated is a mantra. That which protects when repeated is a mantra. That is why, that is where the power of mantra is. And that is why our elders taught that after a certain age you are taught a mantra from a guru. Yes or no? Now we don't believe. We neither believe in gurus, we neither believe in mantras. ये तो कुछ नहीं, ये बकवास है, बेकार है. But you have never understood the meaning behind it. Why did our elders do it? Why did our ancestors do it? Because there is meaning behind it. There is benefit behind it. So when I respect, then I can explore. And whenever you are trying to, you cannot juggle too many thoughts inside your head. That's why I started asking, do you have a paper and a pen with you? Because mind is incapable of juggling too many thoughts. You will get utterly confused and you will become weak. But instead, when you start writing things down on a paper and a pen, then it becomes easier to go back and forth. Because when you're thinking, our working memory, which is called like a scratch pad inside the brain, is very small. It cannot hold too many thoughts. But when you write down, it becomes easy to go back and forth. That's why always use a paper and a pen. And not your mobile, not your gadgets. Some other day we will discuss why digital gadgets are not as good as a paper and a pen. But for now, trust me. Okay? And take one thing at a time. Because that's all you can handle. Prioritize, take one thing at a time. If you want to do too many things, things are not going to work. And whenever you're trying to think about a solution, don't blame anyone, including yourself. That is what I call it as a blameless chair. You can label one of the chairs in your home, stick a label on it, say this is blameless chair. And the only requirement is when you sit on that chair, you should not blame anyone, including yourself. Now think about the solution. And then see how creatively your mind will generate beautiful solutions. सबको देके रखा है. काम वाली को एक रिमोट दे दिया, रोड पे गए तो बाजू वाले कार वाले को अपना रिमोट दे दिया, तू दबा मैं नाचूंगा. तो उसको पता है ये दबाएंगी तो ये नाचेंगी, वो काम वाले को भी पता है. Even the fellow the vegetable vendor outside the home to whom I go once a week, he also knows how to press my buttons. क्योंकि लिबरली सबको देके रखा है ना अपना रिमोट, यार ये भी ले लो, ये भी ले लो, आप भी ले लो, आप भी ले लो, तो वो दबाएगा तो मैं नाचूंगा. So reclaim your remote. Don't allow them to press your buttons. Because if they press, then you will start dancing. And whenever a situation comes, instead of reacting it, okay, do this. Just go to the balcony, rethink. What can I do? Remind yourself of your power and then act, not react. That's your mind servicing. Press pause button. Do some deep breathing. Make some positive thoughts. Chant a mantra. In between, at least few times a day. That's what we call in Brahmakumari's traffic control. Because you are encouraged to stop your thoughts and then think something positive and encouraging so that it will empower you, it will relax you. Because positive thought means slow thought. Remember the equation? Slow thought means I'll feel more relaxed. Now that's the interesting part. You give me the map of Magarpatta, okay? But I hold them, instead of holding the map like this, I hold the map like this, ulta. Okay? Now I enter Magarpatta. And then now I want to search for cosmos. Map is showing me cosmos is on the right side when I'm coming from that side. But cosmos is on the left side. Now which one is correct? Because I am holding the map incorrectly. And then I blame, and then I blame the cosmos. बेकार की cosmos है, right side होना चाहिए, left side क्यों है ये? Because that is a map I am carrying. इसको ऐसा करना नहीं चाहिए था, लेकिन ऐसा क्यों कर रहा है? अरे वैसा ही करेगा भाई, आप अपना मैप चेंज कर लो ना. I want to change the reality as per my map without understanding that I am looking at the map incorrectly. Cosmos left side पे ही था, left side पे ही रहेगा. You can't keep breaking your head कि बेकार की cosmos left side पे क्यों है? Change the map because you are looking at the map in the reverse fashion. That's exactly what we are doing with all the people around us. We want to change the terrain, forgetting that it is a map inside that is incorrectly aligned. If I change the map, then everything will fit properly. Map को change कर दिया, now cosmos is on the left side, reality is on the left side, fantastic. Now there is alignment, so the story is no longer negative. Now who has to change the map? Then I need to agree, right? And that is ego. That is why I want you to change. I want the reality to change and not my map. You know these two? मूवीज में दिखाते हैं ना, ये कब दिखाते हैं? राइट? बट वन हु इज अलाइव, you will see this, right? Peaks and valleys. This is life. But we want it like this. हो सकता है? We want it like this. सब कुछ पीसफुल हो, कोई प्रॉब्लम ना हो, सब अच्छा हो, सब अच्छे हो जाए, कोई भी ट्रैफिक जैम ना हो, कल सुबह से या आज शाम से मगरपट्टा के बाहर. होता है? हमें उन राहों पर चलना है जहां गिरना और संभलना है. गिरना ही नहीं तो चलना ही बंद कर देंगे. So you will succeed sometimes, you won't succeed sometimes, because that's life. You will feel good sometimes, you won't feel good sometimes. That's life. नहीं मुझे हमेशा feel good होना है. You won't. Then you're trying to do this. Somebody was constantly complaining. Some of you might have heard about this Norman Vincent Peale, right? How to Make Friends. He's written that book. So his friend was constantly complaining. So then he said, let me take you to a place where people are never unhappy. So this fellow friend was very excited. He said, अच्छा दिखाओ, कहाँ है? मुझे मिलना है उनसे, कहाँ? दिखाओ मुझे. So then this fellow drives him all the way outside the city. He says, और कहाँ है? मैं दिखाऊंगा ना. वो कभी unhappy होते नहीं है. But it takes some time. Then he takes them outside the city. He takes them to the graveyard. There are only two types of people who are never unhappy. One who are dead, two who are not born yet. And if you are alive and if you want to remain alive, know that sometimes you will feel unhappy. Accept it. Ask these simple questions. Whenever you feel stressed or you are overthinking, what am I trying to control? That's what I ask myself. Now take an example. At the end of this session, you refuse to clap and you just walk away. I have absolutely no control. ताली बजाएंगे कि नहीं बजाएंगे? अच्छा लगेगा या नहीं लगेगा? रेस्पॉन्स देंगे कि नहीं देंगे? स्माइल करेंगे नहीं करेंगे? I have no control. And when I try to keep thinking about it, I overthink, and that is what makes it stressful. But what I have in control is whether I prepared well and I presented it. You like it or not, you keep checking your mobile. I have no control. Can I come and say, आप यहाँ बैठे हैं ना, सुन सकते हैं ना, मोबाइल देखना है क्या? Can I say that? Do I have any control over that? No. You will do what you want to do. It's your choice. So, whenever I feel stressful, this is a very useful and simple question I ask. What am I trying to control? And the minute I let go of that desire to control, my stress vanishes. Try that. What am I afraid of losing? लोग क्या सोचेंगे? Right? What am I afraid of losing? And whom am I trying to impress? And what am I anxious of deciding? What am I so worried? Am I trying to change the past? Did I fall into a thinking trap? Simple questions. Whenever you start overthinking, these are sample set of questions which will help you, because most of the overthinking, more than 80 to 90%, is because of these. And when I become aware and I change my course, I stop my overthinking. But again, it requires effort. किसने कहा देवता बनना मासी का घर जाना जितना इजी है? किसने नहीं कहा ना. देवता बनना मेहनत की काम है, लेकिन बन सकते हैं. That's the beautiful thing. Okay? So that's the summary. Think less, think slow, think better. Not think different, think better. Good. All the best. Thank you. Is it okay for us to sit in meditation for a minute and then reflect on what we heard? Yeah. Keep all your stuff beside. They won't go anywhere. Sit straight. Both feet firmly on the ground. Don't fold your arms. Put all of them below. That's okay. Make yourself free. Yeah. Have your back well supported. Don't fold your arms. Don't fold your legs. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable that way and take a deep breath. Breathe deeply and slowly. As you breathe in, observe the muscles of your stomach expand. As you breathe out, observe the muscles of your stomach contract. Breathe slowly and deeply. Even if your mind goes elsewhere, acknowledge the thought, ignore it, and gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Breathe slowly and deeply. Let go of any tension in any part of your body and relax yourself. As you relax, gently recall the 3 key takeaways that touched you. 3 things from today's session that inspired you. Think of one positive change. Think of one positive change that you would like to make from now onwards to reduce your overthinking based on what you learned today. One positive change. Gently make this thought. I am the master of my mind. I am the creator of my life. I can make this positive change in my life. I am the master of my mind. I am the creator of my life. I can make this positive change in my life. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. And gently open your eyes. Thank you.
I would like to request our sweet Seema Didi to just come here and share blessing thoughts and words with us.
ओम शांति, ओम शांति। तो आप सभी को नए साल की और आज हैप्पी संक्रांत। तो स्वीट कब बन सकते हैं, जैसे भाई जी ने कहा, अंदर में जितने हमारे थॉट्स स्वीट होंगे अर्थात पॉजिटिव होंगे। लेकिन इन सब के लिए आपको विशेष क्या करना होगा? प्रैक्टिस। सुनने के बाद जैसे खाना तो खा लिया लेकिन हजम नहीं करे, अगर ओमिट हो रही है, डिसेंट्री हो रही है, तो वो खाना आपको ताकत नहीं देगा। उसके लिए आपको हॉस्पिटल जाना पड़ेगा। इसी रीति से सुना तो बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन सुनने के बाद उसको क्या करना पड़ेगा? जैसे यहाँ मंत्रा बताया ना, तो मनन करना पड़ेगा, चिंतन करना पड़ेगा और एक एक पॉइंट की गहराई का हमें अनुभव करना पड़ेगा। सिर्फ इन्फॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट करने से या मुझे पता है ये होने से बात नहीं चलेगी। बात तब होगी जब हम उसके ऊपर स्टेप्स चलते रहेंगे। और ऐसे भी नहीं होगा आज आपने सुना और कल से उसको स्वरूप बन जाएगा। नहीं, किसी भी रीति से आप देखेंगे कि जब 3 सीटी होगी तभी आप गैस बंद करते हैं, है ना? हाँ, देखो हंस गए। हाँ, तो इसी रीति से आपको सारे दिन में 3 बार तो इसकी प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी। धीरे 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 जैसे प्रैक्टिस बढ़ती जाएगी, अटेंशन बढ़ता जाएगा, तो ऑटोमेटिकली ये कार्य होगा। अभी जो भी नए होंगे, फर्स्ट इस प्रोग्राम में आए होंगे, तो मैं उनको रिक्वेस्ट करूँगी कि यहाँ पर राजयोग मेडिटेशन का जो 7 डेज़ कोर्स है वो आप ज़रूर करें, क्योंकि इसमें आपको बहुत अच्छी रीति से अपने आप से बात करने के लिए पहले तो हमें ये पता चाहिए कि मैं कौन हूँ। ये सब करने के लिए जो ये कार्य जो हम कर रहे हैं, चाहे थिंकिंग कर रहे हैं, प्रैक्टिकल हम जो भी एक्शंस और कर्म कर रहे हैं, वो सब करने के पीछे जो रोल है वो मेरा रोल कौन सा है। और इसके लिए जैसे हम रोज़ इस फिजिकल बॉडी को आईने में देखते हैं, ऐसे ही यहाँ पर नॉलेज का जो दर्पण है उसमें हमें अपने आप को देखने के लिए बहुत आवश्यक है। और हमको रोज़ कैसे चाहिए पता है? फ्रेश भोजन चाहिए, फ्रेश फ्रूट्स चाहिए, सब कुछ फ्रेश चाहिए। तो यहाँ का जो नॉलेज भी है ना, वो भी रोज़ फ्रेश मिलता है। तो जब 7 डेज़ कोर्स के बाद यहाँ पर जो ज्ञान मुरली होती है, परमात्मा जो समय प्रति समय जो ज्ञान की फ्रूट्स हमें खिलाता है, वो बहुत ज़रूरी है। और अभी इस पे कार्य करने के लिए आपको ये नहीं सोचना है कि अगले हफ्ते से या नेक्स्ट वीक से, तो पॉसिबल नहीं होगा, तुरंत करना होगा। कोई भी कार्य करना है, कहते शुभ कार्य में देरी नहीं करनी चाहिए। आप सबके लिए कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आप अपने लिए करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। अपने और अपनों के लिए करना ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि आप एक रोल मॉडल है घर के अंदर। अगर वो मॉडल में थोड़ा डिफेक्ट होगा तो सब में डिफेक्ट आ जाएगा। क्योंकि देश हो, सोसाइटी हो, समाज हो या घर हो, उसके अंदर एक आप रोल मॉडल है, राइट? और इसीलिए अपने रोल को बहुत बेहतर बनाने के लिए, वंस मोर होने के लिए हमें प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी। आज एक गीत भी गाना हो, एक ड्रामा भी पेश करना हो ना, तो एक्टर्स थोड़ी प्रैक्टिस करते हैं। प्रैक्टिस नहीं करेंगे तो हाँ, तो आप भी क्या कर रहे हैं? सभी ड्रामा ही तो प्ले कर रहे हैं, एक्टर ही तो है आप सभी। लेकिन उस एक्टर्स को अपने डायलॉग भूल जाते हैं और फिर थोड़ा विलन के डायलॉग बोलने शुरू हो जाते हैं। फिर हीरो को जीत कैसे मिलेगी? पॉसिबल नहीं है। इसीलिए आज इस संक्रांत के दिन में आप अपने लिए 24 घंटे में से आधा घंटा तो निकाल सकते, 1 घंटा भी निकाल सकते या नहीं? पॉसिबल है या नहीं? किस किस को पॉसिबल है? टाइम किसी के पास नहीं होता है। टाइम को मैनेज करना और टाइम निकालना, ये अपने आप से प्यार करना है। और जब तो कोई भी अपने आप से प्यार नहीं करता है, वो कभी टाइम नहीं निकाल पाता है। तो पॉसिबल है या नहीं है? पॉसिबल है या नहीं है? किसको पॉसिबल नहीं है वो भी हाथ खड़ा करें। तो सभी को पॉसिबल है। अच्छा, तो सबसे पहले तो हम यही कहेंगे कि जैसे जैसे हमारी सब दादियों को देखेंगे ना, इस यूनिवर्सिटी में सब 80-90 साल तक जिए हैं, क्योंकि उनके थॉट्स, हमारे जानकी दादी तो 104 उम्र तक सेवाएं करती रहे। इसका कारण आज का जो क्लास है ना, ये सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है, क्योंकि दादियों के जो श्वासों की गति थी, क्योंकि हर एक को टाइम और श्वास भगवान ने एक जैसे दिए हैं, बस उसको यूज़ कैसे करते हैं इसके ऊपर हमारी उम्र आयु होती है। तो अभी उसको कैसे बढ़ाना है और कैसे कार्य करना है, ये आप सबके लिए ऑल द बेस्ट। और हम यही कहेंगे कि आप इसके ऊपर कार्य करते रहेंगे। जो हमारे हैदराबाद से बाला भाई इतना दूर से आए, और सारे कारोबार उनके पास थोड़ा टाइम और भी कुछ था, लेकिन फिर भी जब भी हम कोई प्रोग्राम्स के लिए बोलते हैं तो वो ज़रूर उसमें से भी क्योंकि बहुत कुछ कार्य चलते रहते हैं तो आप उनके आने को सफल करेंगे। उन्होंने जो अपना टाइम दिया है तो उसके लिए आपको और भाई जी को भी बहुत बहुत थैंक्स कि आप सभी ने अपना टाइम दिया। आप सभी ने भी टाइम दिया तो आपका भी टाइम बहुत अमूल्य है, वैल्यूएबल है, तो उस टाइम को भी सफल करेंगे। और इन्हीं आशाओं के साथ जो भी हमारे सारे हम देखेंगे फ्रंट में है, बैक में है, जो भी सेवाएं कर रहे हैं, आप सबको भी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक्स। और स्पेशली आनंद भाई को भी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आनंद आया ना आनंद भाई? सभी को आनंद आया। थैंक यू। ओम शांति।